You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
You're listening to Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, your Niagara source for all NCAA football news, weekly betting odds, game analysis, race for the college football playoffs, and reactions to the AP Top 25 rankings. Here are your hosts, Brandon Caputo and Trey Patterson.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of our Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your September 24th, 2020 edition, your source of North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the good old Niagara region. Find us on social media for updates, giveaways, and sponsorship promo codes every month by following the podcast on Twitter at Armchair GM Pod, on Facebook by searching the Armchair GMs Network, and on Instagram by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. Listen to us on our main platform, which is Spreaker.com, and the free Spreaker app by searching the Armchair GMs. As well, we are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Deezer by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. And lastly, check out our beautiful, user-friendly website, armchairgmsports.com, for all things regarding our network, which includes articles, podcast episodes, sponsors, and contributors. Everything's on there for you guys. Check it out wherever is the most convenient for you to listen to us. We're on many different platforms for you. Please give us a like and smash that subscribe button. Give us some love over here. And as always, I'm one of your hosts of the Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, Cappy. Follow me on Twitter at Capoots13 with a Canadian Z. And I'm always very pleased to be joined on the college football portion of the network by my good friend Trey. You can follow him on Twitter at Trey Patterson, former contributor for Fox Sports Knoxville, covering the Tennessee Vols. Trey, thanks a lot for coming back, and I know you're pumped for the start of the SEC conference.
Oh, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, this is when college football actually starts. This is week one to me.
Yeah, this is week one to the SEC fans, I guess you could say. But week four, if you're going off of the college football schedule itself. And again, we've had a week hiatus here in between our last couple episodes. There just wasn't many games to talk about last week for week three. Just not a lot going on here, and not a lot of key games going on, so we said we're going to take the week off, and we're going to come back hot for the start of week four, and there's a lot of good games this week, and a lot of good teams playing at least, so really excited to start talking about that. Again, the SEC is playing, the Big 12 is playing, and going off of that, another Power 5 conference segueing into first discussion here, Trey. The Big 10 has announced that they will be back for college football coming later this fall.
Yeah, and somewhat surprising, too, because they were the first ones to officially announce that they were canceling their football season. They seemed like they wanted to start the trend, and they were hoping that the rest of the big conferences would follow suit and also cancel their seasons. But when the SEC and the ACC and Big 12 just said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to wait and see how it plays out and see if it's a feasible option to play. And they did that, and they determined that it was reasonable to play this year. The Big Ten, I think, was kind of regretting their decision and realized how much money they were going to lose, followed by all the lawsuits from the students and the ADs and coaches, most importantly, Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day of Ohio State, up in arms about the decision. They wanted to play. The student athletes wanted to play, and it was a decision that was made without consulting any of the people who actually were involved with the day-to-day basis of the games.
Yeah, so the Big Ten, obviously, they've come back on that, and they will be playing starting later in the fall here. Trey, what do you think that's going to mean for the college? Do you think that's going to affect the college football playoffs at all with the Big Ten as well? And just we talked about on the last show just how it affects the athletes as well. I mean, some of these guys have aspirations of making the NFL. You look at one of the top quarterbacks in college football, and Justin Fields plays for Ohio State, and if he wouldn't have been able to have a season, what would his draft stock have been going into the season? So I think the Big Ten kind of were forced to make the decision here just for the fact that all the other conferences were playing, and just how much that would negatively affect their conference in all aspects of them not playing this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think they had no choice. And then you had the shills on the main networks, Desmond Howard, who's on ESPN, who's a Michigan alum, back in maybe a month and a half ago, was on a special edition of College Game Day, and he called out Nebraska because Nebraska's leadership was saying that it was ridiculous that they weren't playing and that they should be playing. The science says that they should be playing, and that it was stupid that they would be allowed to practice 4 times a week, but then on Saturdays they can't line up and play an actual game. And then Desmond Howard goes on TV and calls them basically idiots for wanting to play during the pandemic. But now that the Big Ten has reversed their decision, he's all for it. So I think it's just a little hypocritical on some parts, on some ends. But regardless, I think more college football is good for the sport, and I'm never going to be mad about there being more football on TV.
Absolutely not. And with that being said, Treigh has an article that's live right now on armchairgmsports.com. Just posted it just a couple minutes ago. Just went live. So go check that out. College football playoff predictions from Treigh, posted on our website. So again, armchairgmsports.com. Hit the articles, and it'll be the first article posted, Treigh. Just without giving a spoiler on the article, just what were your thoughts on being able to make that now with the Big Ten involved once again?
Well, yeah, with the Big Ten being involved, it changes a lot. Without the Big Ten, I think you could almost guarantee that 2 SEC teams probably would have made the playoffs with only 3 conferences playing. And then I think you have teams like UCF or Memphis, teams that are a group of 5 that would have had a better shot at making the playoffs too had the Big Ten not be playing. But with the Big Ten playing, that opens up the doors now for teams like Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan. Those big powerhouse teams that are in the Big Ten, more than likely one of those teams are going to make it, which is going to take away a spot, likely from a UCF or a Memphis. It's still possible the SEC could get 2 in. It's happened before. I don't think amongst this year with everybody playing conference schedules, I think teams will be too beat up for one conference to get two competitors.
Mm-hmm. So you can go check that out. Again, armchairgmsports.com for Treigh's article on the college football playoffs. With that being said, let's move on here and talk about week 3 in the college football season. And this segment today is brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, home of the best pizza and wing combos in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Call today 905-374-4400 and carmine'spizzeria.ca. This month's promo code is ArmchairBacon, 10% off your entire order when you call for call ahead pickup or delivery. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, way too good. So Treigh, what do you want to discuss from a very bare week 3? Obviously there were some teams playing. It was just a matter of if they were going to cover the spreads or not, and a couple of conference games as well. So just give your general thoughts on whatever you want to cover from week 3.
Well, first off, I think we have to discuss that there were 6 games from week 3 that weren't played because of COVID concerns, and not necessarily because that the players had COVID or there are people out with the actual virus, but due to contact tracing issues, people who were around others who then tested positive, so they don't want those players playing and then risk infecting the entire team, so they decide to postpone those games. Notable games was Baylor playing Houston. That was going to line up to be a really good game, battle of 2 Texas schools, and then a conference game that's have to been postponed now is Virginia and Virginia Tech. The rest of the games on there, they weren't as big, likely games that can either be postponed or just straight up canceled, like North Carolina versus Charlotte. That game probably won't get played at all now. But now Virginia Tech is going to have to be made up somewhere down the road, which is going to cost those teams their actual bye week.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, when we were going through it, I saw these 6 games that were not played, and found that interesting, obviously, due to COVID, and like you mentioned, some teams testing positive. It just, they weren't able to play these games. Some of them might get replayed, some of them might not, but I mean, the conference games, do you think that those kind of have to be played at some point?
Yeah, the conference games are going to have to be played, especially like Virginia Tech. That has bearings on their not only their conference but their division as well. But now that I say that, I'm not sure if the ACC is even doing divisions this year with the way everything's set up with Notre Dame in the conference. But at the end of the year, if you're going to have a winner and Virginia Tech, let's say, is 8-1 at the end of the year, well, and they haven't played Virginia, well, they're going to need that game for a tiebreaker. So certain games like that are going to have to be played, which this also ties me back into the Big Ten. With the way the Big Ten set up their schedule, they have no bye weeks. It's just going to be 8 straight weeks of football. So what happens if a game gets postponed then? When are they going to be able to make that game up? Like if Ohio State's supposed to play Michigan and that can't happen, how how are you going to be able to put Ohio State or Michigan in the playoff if that game doesn't happen?
Maybe we're going to get some midweek football in that case, Trey, which who wouldn't love to have a Wednesday night college football game, obviously. But
oh, I'd be all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But you make a good point there, like when these games are going to be able to be made up. We were talking about that in baseball as well, like all these postponed games and doubleheader. Can't do doubleheader football games, so that's I don't think
I'd
that
be all for a doubleheader football game.
I don't know if the players would and coaches would be all into that, but definitely something to monitor with that. With that being said, Trey, what other games do you want to discuss? Obviously, probably the game of biggest note was that Clemson didn't cover over Citadel, but regardless of that, any other thing you want to mention about the Week 3 games that we did not cover last week?
Yeah, I think the biggest game in terms of opponents, like ranked opponents going against each other in Week 3 was Miami, Florida versus Louisville. Louisville is a team that I had picked at the beginning of the year to be a surprise contender in the ACC. And Miami, I thought, was just going to be a middle-of-the-pack team, and they still might be, but they came out and they rolled Louisville. The score doesn't really dictate that it was domination, but Miami was just better in every facet of the game than Louisville was, and I did not expect that. Miami's come out. They're looking like a legit team, and if they can keep this up, they might even be able to challenge Clemson and Notre Dame for the ACC title.
Yeah, it was number 17 versus number 18, so really close in that regard, and 47-34 was the final score, Miami over Louisville, but you said the score didn't really dictate how much Miami dominated in that game. What other games surprised you? Obviously, Notre Dame won 52-0 over South Florida. UCF, another ranked team, won 49-21. Clemson won 49-0 against Citadel, but did not cover. Number 23, App State, straight up lost to Marshall 17-7. Was that kind of surprising to you?
After watching Marshall play in Week 1, so that would have been I guess that would have been 3 weeks ago, during the first week of the season, that quarterback that they had lit it up for him. So I don't think it's as surprising that Marshall won the game. I think Marshall's a good team that just hasn't gotten the recognition yet because they have a lot of new talent coming into their university. But I think it's surprising that the score is 17-7. Appalachian State, as a ranked team, should have been able to score at least 20 points against Marshall, in my opinion. But at the same time, that quarterback threw for somewhere around 6 touchdowns in Week 1, and to only hold Marshall to 17, I think a ranked Appalachian State team should have been able to score at least 17 points in that game. But I'm not as surprised as Marshall winning as I am just the way the game played out.
Okay. And UCF, number 14, beat Georgia Tech 49-21. 25 ranked Pitt beat Syracuse 21-10. UL Lafayette, number 19 ranked, beat Georgia State in overtime 34-31. And lastly, Cincinnati, number 13, beat your alma mater, Austin Peay 55-20. So that's rounding out the rated or ranked teams so far that played games. Just what are your thoughts on that? Austin Peay finishing off their season with a 55-20 loss there.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the season for the Austin Peay Governors is now over. The OVC, the Ohio Valley Conference that they play in the FCS division, is not having a season this year. But in order to maintain scholarships, Austin Peay still played 3 games this year. That way they could receive money from the big-time programs. Last week they played Pitt. The week before they played Pitt. Last week they played Cincinnati. And those are just the games where they get paid money to go and get beat down. And that pays for the scholarships. So it's disappointing. Austin Peay won their division. The OVC, they won their conference last year for the first time in 35, 40 years, something like that, and then to come back and go 0-3 in games that weren't really your fault. Like, nobody expected them to beat Cincinnati or Pitt. It's got to be somewhat disappointing, especially because, they would have loved to repeat, and hopefully it just doesn't hurt the program and building itself up too much for the future.
And I forgot about a ranked game here. Oklahoma State, number 11, only beat Tulsa 16-7, Trey. Wow. Tulsa only losing by 9 points against number 11 ranked Oklahoma State. If you're Oklahoma State, it's got to be a pretty ugly win that you're not too pleased about.
Yeah, Oklahoma State came out lucky in this game. I actually did watch most of this game. Oklahoma State, they were dealing with a lot of injuries in this game. Their starting quarterback got hurt, and then their second-string quarterback got hurt. And then their third string came in, and he was the one who scored most of their points for them. So maybe it was a good thing. I don't know that their third string had to come in. But Tulsa was in control for a lot of this game. They went with them tit for tat in this up until the midway through the fourth quarter, where I'm guessing that the just the pure talent advantage took over for Oklahoma State, and they were able to, sneak by with a win. But that's not going to get you anywhere in the Big 12 conference when conference play starts. We saw during week 2, all the Big 12 teams that lost to Sun Belt teams. Big 12 as a whole is not looking too good to start.
Yeah, absolutely not. Some of these wins that they're having just are not looking great. So with that being said, I don't know if there's anything else you want to bring up. Obviously, Boston College beat Duke 26-6. That ACC matchup over there. Neither team are ranked, but notable schools there. But that being said, it was a pretty bare week. Again, week 3. That's why we didn't do a picks and predictions for that. Just because the fact that it was lacking games. It was basically like the calm before the storm here to lead up to week 4.
Yeah, and it would have been a 20-minute show if we would have done a show last week. That's just how it would have been. But we got real football coming up. I'm excited for it.
Exactly. And so with that being said, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we got a 2-parter today with the picks. So we're going to be able to break that into 2 segments. A lot of good games for you, a lot of good picks and breakdowns from Trey, getting his game picks in for you guys. And we'll be right back here on Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, and right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network for our Week 4 picks. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving traditional-style Italian pizzas made with the freshest, top-quality ingredients. Loaded subs and their famous chicken wings. Winners of the Reader's Choice Diamond Award, 4 years running from Niagara this week for Best Pizza and Wings in Niagara Falls. Home of the best tray and wing combo in town for the price and quality. Open daily from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., located on the corner of Drummond Road and Dunn Street. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery at 905-374-4400. Make sure to like them on Facebook and view their website for their menu at carminespizzeria.ca. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. Way too good. As we all adjust to this new world that we're living in today, masks are now mandatory, and Niagara's own Custom PPE is Canada's leading face mask provider. Visit them online at customppe.ca and choose between several mask options with different colors and sizes. Add your organization, company, or team logo so you make your face masks unique. Available to purchase online 24/7 at customppe.ca and shipped within 1 week. They have the best prices and quickest turnaround in Canada, and no order is too big or too small. Also offering custom floor stickers as well as face and counter shields for your business or workplace. Visit customppe.ca and use the code ARMCHAIR at checkout for 20% off your custom or blank face mask today. Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider. Attention job seekers, if you are currently looking for work in the Niagara region, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls, directly across from the Camisos Plaza. Their free services include resume and cover letter writing, community resource and referral information, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, second career information and registration assistance, and all their services are currently provided by appointment only. So give them a call at 905-358-0021 or visit their website at ehc.on.ca, the Niagara Employment Help Center. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Alright guys, welcome back to Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater. Cappy and Trey back with you here. Trey, it's like Christmas morning for you, I'm sure. Are you fired up to get started with these Week 4 picks and the start of the SEC Conference?
Well, it's more like Christmas Eve, but yeah, you're close.
Okay,
we're almost there.
We're almost there. Christmas morning will be Saturday, I guess you could say. But Christmas morning, as we get started here for UAB, seems to be on Thursdays, since they are the Thursday, the Thursday Stars, always playing on Thursday night. But before we get into that, this segment's brought to you by J&L Flooring, a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. Simplified process of making homes beautiful is their specialty. 905-358-3299 or J&L Flooring to start today. So, Trey, let's start off with the Thursday Warriors, as we like to call them. UAB facing off against South Alabama, favored by 7 points on the road. What do you got?
Yeah, UAB is 1-1 on the year. They started the season off with a win. I think it was against Central Arkansas. And then week 2, they had a game against Miami. We just talked about Miami, how good they were, and UAB held close with them. It was tied at halftime in that game. So I'm on the Blazers here, and I'm going to take the 7 points.
Okay, UAB to cover the 7 points. So again, one of the coolest logos, I think, in college football, just that fire-breathing dragon. I literally think the Seattle Dragons of the XFL copied their logo because it basically just turned around the other way. It basically has the exact same logo look. But UAB, the Thursday Warriors, Trey's got him taking it here by 7 points.
And I don't know if I've ever touched on this either, but it was around 4 or 5 years ago. UAB actually lost their football program. They decided to cut the football program from the school, and then there was a massive outrage from the fans and the community, and they decided to bring it back 2 years later. So this is a program that's only 3 years back, and they're already playing this well. This is a good program.
Yeah, good for them being able to come back up through the ranks that quickly in only 3 year span. Not easy to do in college football here. And with that being said, Trey, let's get into the noon games here. Starting off with a good one here. We got 2 ranked teams. Auburn welcoming in Kentucky. Number 8 Auburn against number 3 Kentucky. Auburn favored by 7.5 at home.
Yeah, Auburn is a team, in my opinion, that's always overhyped every year. They're good, don't get me wrong. It's not like in the past with Tennessee where they get overhyped and then they're just bad. Auburn's just overhyped and they're just good. They're not great. And I think to be 8 overall to start the season, you have to be a great team. And I don't think they are. And I've gone on record on Twitter already saying that I think Kentucky wins this game. I know it's surprising. I do think Kentucky wins this game, which means I'm going to take Kentucky to cover the 7.5.
Wow, so already with basically our week 1 picks here, starting off hot for Trey with a nice big upset here of number 23 Kentucky over number 8 ranked Auburn. So he's taking Kentucky to cover not only cover the 7.5 points, but also outright win this game. So I'm guessing that's already your upset of the week.
Yeah, I think Kentucky is severely underrated heading into this season. They have probably a top 5 offensive line in the entire country. They got their quarterback back, who was hurt last year, Terry Wilson. They call him Touchdown Terry. He's coming back. He's really good. They did lose their best receiver, but they've been recruiting really well, and I think this might be a team that Auburn overlooks, which I think might also play a factor in this game.
Okay.
And I'm not just going to take the 7.5. I'm also taking the over.
Okay, so he's taking the over on the 49 points as well. So again, the day of recording this, again, these are the spreads and the over-under, so this is what we are basing it off of. So he's going over on the 49 points and Kentucky to cover and win this game as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the 12 o'clock slot. Another 12 o'clock game, number 3 ranked Oklahoma, in what probably is not going to be a very close matchup unlike the last game here. They are favored by 28 points over Kansas State. Do you expect them to cover this?
I would expect them to. Oklahoma looked really good in their first game when they were playing whatever small school that was that they were playing. Their freshman quarterback, Spencer Rattler, looked like a pro. He looked like he'd been doing this for years. And Kansas State, they're not good. They're not a good team. They're towards the bottom when it comes to the Big 12. I think they're one of the teams that lost to one of the Sun Belt teams. I expect Oklahoma to win by 40.
Okay. Moving on here, Boomer Sooner, I guess, but yeah, not really. We'll have to see when they actually get some real test games. It's a nice cupcake game for them going into Week 5. And then here we got UL Lafayette welcoming Georgia Southern. UL Lafayette ranked number 19. They are favored by 13.5.
Let me refresh my mind, saying they're ranked to 11.5. Let me see. UL Lafayette and Georgia Southern?
Yep.
Oh, that's weird. Mine says that they're at 11.5 favorites on the same website.
Maybe. Well, let me refresh the score.com here. Oh, there we go. Yep. Okay, it has changed. So I guess I didn't refresh mine from last night. So I guess it did change. So now UL Lafayette, big matchup there. They're now favored by 11.5. So it did go down, actually.
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I'm actually taking Georgia Southern in this game. I think UL Lafayette kind of squeaked by last week. Georgia Southern, they're not by any means a good team, but I don't think UL Lafayette's really that good either. And I think 11.5 is a bit too much for them to win by. I could see them winning by 10. If it would have dropped down to about 9.5, I probably would have taken UL Lafayette, but I would take Southern.
Okay. Moving on to another ranked matchup here, number 24 Louisville, who you mentioned, you've been kind of high on as a sleeper team there, despite losing last week. They're going to Pitt to play number 21 ranked Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5 at home, and the over-under is 55, Trey. What are you liking from this game?
I think this is going to be a really good competitive matchup. I'm still high on Louisville even after their loss to Miami. I just think that was a tough break. But they're going to have to travel to Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a rough environment. I think Pittsburgh could squeak by a field goal, so I'm going to take Pitt at -2.5.
Okay, so Pitt at -2.5, and what about the over-under 55 point total?
If I had to bet on that one, I'd probably go under.
Under? Okay. Under 55 points for that one. Next shout out here to Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider, built from right here in Niagara. The best at prices and quickest turnaround in Canada. Order today. CustomPPE.ca, and again, use the code armchair at checkout, 20% off your entire order. CustomPPE.ca. We've got number 5 ranked Florida traveling to Ole Miss, favored by 14 points. Trey, know you're a big Florida Gators fan, not really, but what are you thinking here? Do you think the Gators are going to be able to cover this 14 points at Ole Miss?
Yeah, this is going to be the Lane Kiffin's first game at Ole Miss. The Lane train is finally going to get rolling in Oxford, Mississippi. This is going to be a tough game for Florida. I don't think that they're not going to know what they're walking into in Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is an air raid type guy. Always has tons of tricks up his sleeve. Many people remember him as the offensive coordinator at Alabama for those 2 years while he was there. They won a national championship while he was there. He knows what he's doing on offense. The question will be whether or not they can stop Florida on defense. And Florida's got a really good offense. Kyle Trask is returning. He's got Heisman. He's a Heisman hopeful this year. He's got favorable odds at the Heisman, but 14 points is a lot. I think this game could turn into a bit of a shootout. So I'm gonna take Ole Miss to cover 14.
Okay, Trey's not the biggest Ole Miss fan, but he's taking them to cover against Florida here. So plus 14 on Ole Miss for Trey.
I'm also on the over at 57.5.
Okay. Didn't mention that, but over on 57.5 for the points. An unranked matchup here, but worth discussing here is Notre Dame going to Wake Forest. No spread in this game, Trey, so just flat up pick a winner.
Yeah, that's weird that there's not a spread here, considering this is a quote-unquote conference matchup. Wake Forest looked really good against NC State last week. They did come away losing that game, but they played them right to the end. I don't think Wake Forest is all that great of a great of a football team, but I think they're better than what they were in the past, but it shouldn't be enough to keep up with Notre Dame. Notre Dame should win this easy.
Okay, so Notre Dame just flat up winning this game since there is no spread. Trey, how many points do you think Notre Dame is going to win by in this game?
If I had to lay a spread down, I would probably put it at around 13.
Okay, 13 points for Notre Dame with Trey's created spread here. This is interesting, Trey, because we've actually had to skip over some games that we probably would have had to go in-depthly in the last couple of weeks, but with just the jam-packed schedule this week, we're going to be skipping over some unranked matchups that we probably would have discussed the last couple of weeks, so this is this is nice to have some games. Again, if you want picks on, some schools like Middle Tennessee and UTSA, this is not the show for you, unfortunately. But moving on here, we got number 13 ranked UCF traveling to East Carolina, favored by 27 points on the road. Trey, do you like them to cover that spread?
A fun fact about East Carolina, that's where CJ2K went to college, Chris Johnson, former Titan running back. But I like UCF here. UCF has come out and proven that they're the real deal so far. They laid it to Georgia Tech last week. There's no reason they shouldn't do the same to East Carolina.
Okay, and then moving on here, we got to go down the page a little bit, and we are going to number 15 ranked Oklahoma State at 3:30, welcoming West Virginia, only favored by 7 points, Trey.
Yeah, I want to go right back real quick to UCF East Carolina. I didn't catch it at first, but the over-under is set at 76.5. I'm going under on that all day.
Okay, 76.5. I didn't even realize that either. What an over/under point total. Yeah, UCF and East Carolina. Okay, 76.5 under on that.
Yeah, now back to West Virginia, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, we talked about their performance last week. They weren't really all that impressive. We haven't really seen a ton from West Virginia yet. But after what I have seen from Oklahoma State, I'm more inclined to take West Virginia. I think West Virginia will cover the 7.
Okay, West Virginia at +7. Do you want to do points for this one, or are you staying away from the points on this?
I'm going to stay away on this one.
Okay, moving on here, we have the defending champs, the LSU Tigers, without Joe Burrow and without Clyde Edwards-Helaire. New offense there with Ed Orgeron. They are favored by 16.5 points over Mississippi State. Do you like the defending champs to cover here in their first game?
Yeah, this is probably, other than the Tennessee game, this is probably the game I'm most excited to watch, just because I want to see how LSU is going to basically rebound this season. They lost an NFL record, 16 players to the NFL draft, something crazy like that last year. So to see how they come out and play this year, they lost Joe Brady, the passing game coordinator. Mississippi State has their new coach in Mike Leach coming over from Washington State, another air raid guy. So Mississippi State's offense could look a lot different than it did last year. But Mississippi State is returning the league-leading rusher in Kylan Hill, I believe is his name. So I think this is another game that could end up being a shootout. It's early in the season without a lot of practice and a lot of true normal fall camp style practices. I think the defenses could be sloppy, so I'm going to take Mississippi State to cover it, just because I think this, again, could end up being a shootout game, and I'm also going to take the over at 57.
Okay, so Trey's taking Mississippi State to cover against the defending champs, but again, we haven't seen what they were able to do with a completely new offensive look with their new players. Everybody, like Trey mentioned, everybody that was drafted to the NFL, so it's really hard to say, what LSU is going to be this year, which is probably why they're kind of not ranked in the top 5 to start the season, which I think is warranted in that regard. And you said the over on the 57?
Yeah, over.
Okay, over on the 57 points for that game. Moving on here to number 8 ranked Texas Longhorns traveling to Texas Tech, favored by 18 points on the road. Trey, you looking at Hook'em Nation to go into Texas Tech and lay an egg? Or are you looking for them to continue their trajectory, hopefully to the college football playoffs?
Well, Texas Tech is bad, like really, really bad.
Trying to hype them up a little bit here. I know they don't have Cliff Kingsbury and Patrick Mahomes anymore, but
they lost they didn't lose, but they almost lost to Holy Cross. What was it, week 2? This team is, I don't know if it was just week 1 jitters or what it was, but that was very concerning, especially if you're a Red Raider fan. I'm on Texas here. Give me the 18.
Okay. Hook'em Horns, minus 18. And moving on here to the last of the 3:30 games, it looks like that we will be covering. We have number 22 ranked Army against another ranked team in number 14 Cincinnati, who beat up on your alma mater Austin Peay last week. Cincinnati favored by 13.5 at home. What are you liking from the Bearcats?
Army's looked good so far in this short season. They run the triple offense. They were supposed to play BYU last week. That game ended up getting canceled. But other than that, I think they played Louisiana Monroe at some point this season, and they gave it to them as well. Army's looked good. They're a difficult offense to plan for because they run that triple option. And with the spread being at 13.5, I think I'm going to have to roll Army here.
Okay, so Trey's taking another underdog here to cover a spread. 13.5 for Army over Cincinnati. And going off the rest of the schedule here, I think that's going to be it for the first segment, right, Trey? We got
Georgia and Arkansas. That's a 3:00 game.
Okay, so Georgia favored by 27 points, number 4 ranked Georgia, traveling to Arkansas, and the over/under is 52 points there as well. Again, Georgia favored by 27. Trey, what are you looking? Do you think the Bulldogs are going to cover this game?
This game is interesting to me. The spread's pretty large. I do think Arkansas is going to be better than what they have been. I mean, obviously they can't be any worse. They haven't won an SEC game in 2 years, but they have a new coach in Sam Pittman, who ironically left Georgia to go to Arkansas and be the head coach. They have a transfer quarterback in Felipe Franks, who transferred from Florida as a grad transfer, who's now going to be playing at Arkansas. Georgia still doesn't really have a set quarterback yet. It's probably going to be who was slated to be their third string guy, because their number one guy, Jamie Newman, has opted out of the season, and their number two guy, JT Daniels, the guy who transferred from USC, still hasn't been medically cleared yet from his concussion or whatever issue it was that he had while he was at USC. So Georgia is definitely the way more talented team. I don't think Arkansas is really going to score that much. So I'm going to go out. I think Georgia should win this by 27. I could see them winning by 28 and it being a 28 point, but that would cover it. So give me Georgia at 27.
Yeah, you just need the 27. So if it's a 28, that's good enough for you. So he's picking the Georgia Bulldogs to cover by 27. What are you looking at the over-under here for this game? 52.
I'm going to go under. I don't think Arkansas is really going to be able to score on that elite Georgia defense. And I think Georgia will score just enough. I don't see them scoring more than 50.
If it would be a 28-0 game, Trey will look like a genius after the result of this one, so we'll have to wait and see with that. But with that being said, guys, we're going to take our last commercial break here before we get into the evening and the night games. Again, a lot of good games here. That's why we were able to break it off into two segments for you guys. And we're going to be right back here on Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater and right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network to finish off our Week 4 game picks. J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride in providing elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel great about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they connect with their customers to simplify the process to make their life easier and to make their homes beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, or find out more at jnlflooring.com. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 905-358-3299 J&L Flooring. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill is located on the top of Clifton Hill and just a 5-minute walk from the majestic Niagara Falls. It is conveniently nestled in the heart of the tourist district. A family-owned and operated business, the Spicy Olive opened its doors in May of 2003 and has since been established as an authentic and unique Italian restaurant and bar. Its rustic ambiance and time-worn finishing provide a warm and inviting dining experience. Offering an array of delicious dishes, they specialize in authentic Italian cuisine, homemade sauces, fresh ingredients, and consistently providing a strong foundation on which they build their menu. As night falls, the Spicy Olive shifts to a lively lounge where drinks and live music come together to make a perfect evening. For more than 15 years, they have provided not only for their dedicated locals, but their customers from all over the world with authentic Italian food and great live entertainment. Open daily 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for dinner and till 2 a.m. for drinks. Check out their new menu and book reservations on their website at Spicy Olive Bar and Grill, it's with an E at the end, .com, or call 905-371-2323 for reservations as well. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Alright guys, welcome back to the final segment of our Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater. Continuing on with our Week 4 picks here. Trey and Cappy back with you here. And Trey, let's get into the rest of these Week 4 picks. If you guys are following along, again, it's thescore.com, and then you just got to hit the drop-down menu from top 25 to all FBS if you guys are following along with the episode, with the picks here. And with that being said, Trey, we'll start off the last segment by talking about Alabama, the number 2 ranked team in the country. And this segment's brought to you by the Spicy Olive Bar and Grill, family owned and operated since 2003, serving authentic and unique Italian-style food just off the historic Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls. This month's promo code is Armchair Penne for 10% off your entire order when you call for takeout or when you go in, when you eat in as well. So please let your server know that promo code when you go to eat in as well. 905-371-2323 or Spicy Olive Bar and Grill to book your reservation today. Number 2 ranked Alabama traveling to Missouri, Trey, and they are favored by 27 points on the road. Are you liking the Crimson Tide to roll in there and take care of the Missouri Tigers?
If I'm liking Georgia to cover the 27, I got to take Alabama to cover the 27. I think Alabama's a better team overall than Georgia is right now just because of who their coach is. I think that's a good enough reason. And I don't think Missouri is good either. They have a brand new coach, Eli Trinkowitz. Missouri's not a good team. I have them projected to finish second to last, only in front of Vanderbilt in the East. So yeah, I'm gonna take Bama to cover the 27.
It's interesting that both Alabama and Georgia are both favored by 27, so they're hoping to win by at least 4 touchdowns to cover both those spreads for both those teams. So that's pretty standard, I guess, for two teams playing two not so good teams. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. So we're gonna go into the next game here. We got Miami, Florida, again, who you discussed in the first segment, coming up with a win there last week against Louisville. They're welcoming Florida State, so in Florida State, I guess, matchup there. Florida State traveling to Miami, Florida to play. They're favored by 11 points at home, Trey. What are you liking here? Are you liking the Miami Hurricanes to cover here, or are you looking at the Seminoles to keep it close?
Yeah, this is like the rivalry game. This used to be one of the premier rivalries in college football. And they're in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. A lot of times this was the game that decided who was going to win the ACC. But more importantly to that, for most of these, especially Florida State, it was about winning their state. They wanted to be the team from Florida. Florida State wanted to beat Miami, and then they wanted to beat Florida at the end of the year. It was about owning your state, and this was the game. This was the one that everybody wanted to watch. It's not really like that anymore. Florida State's been really bad as of late, ever since they won that national championship. It's been all downhill. But it's still a rivalry game to these players. It's still a rivalry game to these fans and the coaches. And weird things happen in rivalry games. I think Miami is a way better team than Florida State, but I think Florida State somehow covers the 11.
Okay, so you're taking Florida State to cover the 11 points. And are you liking the over or under 54 points for this game?
Honestly, I'd probably stay away from it.
Okay.
I don't really like either of them.
Okay, so Trey staying away from the points from Florida State and Miami, Florida. Battle of the state of Florida. We've got number 10 ranked Texas A&M welcoming Vanderbilt, and oh my goodness, what a spread this is. 30.5 for Texas A&M to cover over Vandy. I know your thoughts on Vanderbilt and them having no fans in the stadiums this year is basically par for the course for them, so not such a bad thing. But do you think there's any way they keep it close and cover this spread?
No, I don't. Texas A&M 42-7. Give me the 30.5.
So A&M to cover by 30.5. Do you want to go on the over on this, the 47 points?
What did I just say? 42-7? Yeah, I'll take the over.
Okay, over 47 points for Trey and his love for Vanderbilt. Not really. We're going to skip over this game since nobody really cares about Tennessee and South Carolina. Just kidding. We're saving that for last for Trey for the show. But going on to Kansas and Baylor. Again, not a ranked matchup, but an interesting game here. Baylor favored by 17.5 points over Kansas, Trey. What do you like?
Kansas has been nothing but a disappointment to me so far. I had them as a lock of the week, I think week 2 when they were playing Coastal Carolina, and they blew that big time. They didn't even look competitive. Don't really know a whole lot from Baylor yet. 17.5 seems high, but Kansas is really, really bad. So, like if I was honestly to lay a bet, I'd probably stay away for this one, but for the sake of the show, I'm going to take Baylor at 17.5.
Okay, a very unconfident 17.5 cover there by Baylor for Trey, so we'll have to see how that game plays out. Next game here, we got Virginia Tech welcoming NC State. Number 20 ranked Virginia Tech favored by 7.5 points.
Yeah, this I think this is going to be a pretty good game too, in terms of competitiveness. I think this is going to be a closer game than a lot of people think. I do think Virginia Tech wins, but I think it's more so by like a score of 3. So I'm going to give NC State the edge and take them at plus 7.5, and I'm also going to ride the over of 57 points.
Okay, so Trey's taking NC State to cover the 7.5 points and the over on the 57 total points for this game. Last plug today for Niagara Employment Help Center, helping job seekers find work with their free services and counseling professionals. Located at 6100 Thorlstone Road, Niagara Falls, across from the Camisos Plaza. Book your appointment today, 905-358-0021 or ehc.on.ca. We've got the late game, Trey. The late game ending off the week 4, a great week 4 of college football with a game that might be a little bit lackluster. We got BYU welcoming Troy, 18-ranked BYU, favored by 14 points.
Yeah, we've only seen Troy play in one game so far, and they were dominant, and it was against Navy. They were supposed to play last week. Was it against Baylor, Houston? It was some team like that they were supposed to play last week. But that game ended up getting canceled because of contact tracing concerns. Troy, I don't think they're going to stand a chance in this game. I think BYU rolls, and I think they roll big. I'm taking BYU at minus 14.
Okay, so BYU by at least 14 here. And saving the best for last here, again, because it's basically like a night game here for the Tennessee Vols. They're playing at 7:30 Eastern time, so I guess for them it's 6:30 local time. They're traveling to South Carolina. Best for last year, Trey. I know you've been really looking forward to being able to pick and talk about your Tennessee Vols here. So they're the 16th ranked, and they're favored by 3.5 on the road. Take it away.
Yeah, well, first I just want to say that Tennessee, the university, is actually located in Eastern time zone, so it's still 7:30 there.
Okay.
But for me, it's 6:30 because I'm in Central time zone. If y'all don't know how that works, I live about an hour away from the time zone change. But Tennessee, they're 3.5-point favorites in this game on the road, so that's even with South Carolina getting the little bit of a home favorite bump because South Carolina will have fans in the stadium. As will all SEC teams outside of Vanderbilt. But,
for good reason.
Yeah. I've never been more conflicted to start a season. Usually Tennessee gets a bit of a warm-up game to start the season each year. This year we're jumping in just straight into conference play, something Tennessee hasn't done in almost 30 years. I do think Tennessee is a better overall team than South Carolina. They've recruited better. They have more talent. I think they're better coached. But I just have almost no confidence in them whatsoever because of the way things happened last year and just throughout my entire life as a Tennessee fan. But with that being said, I think Tennessee wins by a touchdown. That's just my gut feeling, is that they're going to somehow, some way come away with a touchdown win. Maybe it'll be like 24-17, somewhere around there. So give me Tennessee, 3.5.
And you liking the over-under, a very low one here, 43 points.
43 points is very low. What did I just say? 24-17. That puts it at 41. If that happens, that would be under, but that's probably not going to happen. So I'm going to take the over just because 43 is pretty low.
I know that's probably one of the lowest point totals of the week here for the ranked teams. So Trey's going with his Vols here to cover the 3.5. Thinks they're going to win by a touchdown, and very reluctantly taking the over on the 43 points. But I know you want to mention before we end the show today about what Jeremy Pruitt was just announced that his signing bonus. He decided that he was going to give it back to go towards the student athletes and towards the program.
Yeah, well, it was just maybe like 15 minutes ago announced that Tennessee has extended him to a 2 years. So now he's signed through the year 2025, which included a $400,000, signing bonus, additional money in his contract, which he declined, saying that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Put that money to some better use within the school's athletic department. Make sure we can cover scholarships if other students need it, other sports that aren't as profitable as football and basketball, which was a pretty noble thing to do on his end.
So hopefully that gesture will go a long way, and maybe the football gods will reward them this week with a nice 7-point victory like you're predicting there, Trey. Like we always do every week on the show, you give your lock and your upset of the week. We already had your upset early on in the picks coming in hot with the second game that we picked. You said Kentucky was going to not only cover but flat out beat number 8 ranked Auburn. So that's already your upset of the week. What's your lock of the week?
My lock is going to be Alabama over Missouri at 27. Alabama, I have a feeling that they're going to crush it, and Missouri I don't think is good at all. I honestly surprised the spread's not higher, so I'm taking Alabama at minus 27 as my lock.
Okay, perfect. So that's it for the Week 4 picks. Again, a lot of nice games that we were able to pick. It's refreshing. Again, we started the show a few weeks ago, but really this is the first week that we've really been able to dive into some really solid matchups and some really solid picks here for you guys. So if you guys are betting college football, make sure you're tuning in every week. Treigh was pretty much 75 to 80% last year with his picks. So if you're listening to the show, listening to Treih's insight from college football, you're probably making yourself some money on Saturdays and before losing it on Sundays with NFL picks. So with that being said, Treigh, anything else you want to mention before we wrap up for what it's going to be a very exciting Week 4 of college football? No, you're really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. I like you said earlier, it's like being a kid on Christmas Eve right now. At one point, didn't even think we were going to have college football. We went 4 months throughout the summer without any sports at all, and then the night, or I guess it's 2 days before my favorite sport returns, I'm giddy. I'm all excited. But yeah, just go be sure read the article I posted. Plug that one more time. If you want to see my playoff picks, who I got making it to the playoffs this year, it's all written there in the article.
Yep, armchairgmsports.com, and go to the articles tab. First article right there is Treih's article, college football playoff predictions. So make sure you're going and giving that a read. Very good piece there by Treigh. So with that being said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for our Week 4 game picks right here on Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater and on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans for sports fans. We are your source of North American sports coverage, and as always, I'm one of your hosts of the Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Caputs13 with a Canadian Z. As well, you can follow my co-host at Treigh Patterson on Twitter. Treigh, thanks a lot for joining us today. Really fired up to have you back for college football picks for this season.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to be here and looking forward to doing this every week the rest of the way.
Absolutely. And a big thank you to all of our great sponsors who will put us on Support the Network. Keep the show on the air. Make sure you're checking them out and tell them Armchair GM sent you. Again, armchairgmsports.com for all things to do with our sponsors. Articles, again, Treih's article, brand new, right up on there as well. And all of our podcast episodes are on there for you guys. And lastly, to you viewers out there for tuning in and listening along with us for this episode, this has been Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans, for sports fans. Enjoy Week 4, guys. We'll be back for Week 5.